It's been a really long time since I screamed at a video game. Ha ha, make your jokes, lol, great memes. I'm not even kidding. Getting the first half of footage in offline matches made me genuinely rage. I threw out my voice and I had to take a 4-hour break before I went to go get the rest. I think it came out alright, but just know that there was a mound of shit in between all of it. Regardless, I've got another build for you guys today. I actually have 3 extremely high damage presets with my Arcosian, but I chose this one because it was the first one I made. If you couldn't tell by the title, this guy's a glass cannon, and for those of you who don't play a lot of RPGs, glass cannons refer to characters that have extremely low health but in exchange can dish out a ton of damage. That's especially apparent with this character. If you make even a single mistake, it can lead to something like this. Now let's get started. Like my Namekian, there aren't a lot of stamina break combos that I could find for my Arcosian other than the charged heavy stamina break and the knockback heavy stamina break, but there are other ways with this build. But before we talk about the one way to break an opponent's stamina that doesn't involve my skill set, there's something that needs to be said. Currently, there's a bug with Arcosians that make doing the knockback stamina break extremely unreliable. I mentioned it once before, but the camera can wind up on the opposite side of the direction you do the knockback, which can completely throw off your stamina break attack and make you do a back hit instead. For the life of me, I can't figure out why this happens because it can also happen in wide open maps with little clutter, like the hyperbolic time chamber. But it's not like Arcosians can't combo into a stamina break at all. I won't take the credit for finding this since the YouTuber I learned about this from was Sodium Equinox. Seriously, this guy inspired me to make a ton of my ridiculous builds. You should go check out his channel. He's got some pretty awesome guides and stuff. But a more reliable stamina break combo is a variation of the knockback combo. All you need to do is do a knockback, press A and only A, which will make you charge straight forward, hit them with a light attack, and then use a light stamina break. The way you know what direction to use your stamina break in is the positioning of the initial knockback. If you're on the left side of the screen, aim the stamina break to the right, and vice versa if you're on the right side of the screen. This is still vulnerable to the bug, but it happens a lot less than if you did the normal knockback stamina break attack. On with equipment, my QQ Bang grants +5 in both stamina and ki blast supers, +4 in ki, +1 in basic attacks, and -5 in health and strike supers. Most of my ki blasters, including my Savage Queen and Purest Evil Majin that I've done build videos on before, use the QQ Bang with +5 in ki, stamina, and ki blast supers, and -5 in health, basic attacks, and strike supers. But my Arcosian is unique in that I also make use of the basic attack damage when I land my charged ki blast at the end of certain combos. As for my Super Soul, I only use a monster, no I'm a devil with this build, because of my excessively high ki bar, which is almost at a full 10 ki bars with my attribute setup. Speaking of attributes, when I said this guy was a glass cannon, I wasn't exaggerating when I said I traded my health for raw damage. I have a whopping 0 in health, which combined with my QQ Bang and an Arcosian's natural squishiness, this really makes this character as squishy as possible. But to compensate for this, I put 100 points into Ki Blast Supers and 120 points into basic attacks. I put more points into basic attacks because I'll be getting more use out of them in the long run. How am I supposed to set up combos without some basic attacks, am I right? Lastly, I put a full 125 points into maximum ki so I can make the most use of one of my ultimate finishers. As always, let's quickly take a look at my skill set before we talk about tricks, starting with my escape move and transformation. I use Energy Barrier as my escape move because it's extremely quick and almost impossible to anticipate, but when I transform, it also allows me to catch them when they're knocked back, making it a good bait move. Speaking of transforming, I use Golden Form with this build. I feel like it's almost obligatory to use it on a Ki Blasting Arcosian. It gives an even stronger boost to Ki Blast than Potential Unleash does, and also, as I mentioned earlier, grants a speed boost that allows me to instantly catch up with an opponent that I knock away with Energy Barrier. Now with the actual skills. My main defensive move is Burst Rush. You know the drill. It's one of the harder counter moves to use since it has the shortest trigger time, but a lot of skills can be comboed into it after the last hit, including Golden Form's charged Ki Blast. In fact, one of my skills I deliberately use after Burst Rush, and that move is...
I can explain.
I genuinely believe that if you use some of these cheese moves, but you combo into them properly, or you don't pull some cheap shit like using Absolute Zero, then I have no problem with you using them. If you set yourself up to be hit with some of these moves, then you really only have yourself to blame. At least that's how I feel about some of these moves. Moving on, Oran Combo is a great move that can be used in a lot of spots in your combos, even though I prioritize Ki Blast a lot in this build, and it also lets you land a charged Ki Blast at the end of the combo if you're fast enough. Punisher Drive is primarily here as a setup for another ultimate that I have in this build, but it's also a pretty good move to throw off an opponent. Unless you used it in a combo that I'll talk about in a minute, most people can see the move coming and can dodge it relatively easily, but there is a trick to this move that lets you skip that starting animation. All you need to do is flick the left stick in the direction of your opponent as soon as you activate Punisher Drive. Doing this for certain combos can make the last half of the move miss though, so be careful with that. To top off my skill set, the main ultimate I use when I know for a fact that I can finish a match is Emperor's Death Beam. The move completely drains you of all your ki, so that's why I tend to use it as my main finisher. My second ultimate is Mystic Flash, but don't panic. I may have 2 cheese moves in my skill set, but I never use Mystic Flash unless I set it up with Punisher Drive, so calm your tits. I already have Burst Rush as my counter move, so it's not like I ever really need to use Mystic Flash in the first place. Now that we got the skills out of the way, let's finally talk about the tricks of this build. Let's start with where you can combo into your charged Ki Blast. Several basic combos that allow you to land the charged Ki Blast is using either 5 heavy attacks, using 1 light attack and 2 heavy attacks, and also doing a heavy light, heavy light, heavy light combo. You can also land the Ki Blast after Oran Combo if you're fast enough, as well as after the last hit from Burst Rush. Another combo that's pretty reliable but doesn't deal nearly as much damage as the main ones I use is to use either 5 light attacks and 3 heavy attacks, or 7 light attacks and 2 heavy attacks, doing a back hit immediately and then using Oran Combo. After that, you follow up with the charged Ki Blast. For the most part, the former combo is more reliable since you can use it faster and only deals slightly less damage than the latter. That and the other charged Ki Blast combos are mainly used to get your opponent within kill range, so let's get on to the build's power combos. There are 2 ways to set up these combos, but let's start with the most reliable one first. It's done by doing the knockback stamina break combo, doing a light stamina break, immediately activating Punisher Drive which warps you behind your opponent, then using Mystic Flash. This one should typically be used if their health is too low to get to the next combo. Speaking of which, the next combo is done by doing that same knockback stamina break combo, doing a heavy light, heavy light, heavy light combo, or 5 heavy attacks, then following up with Emperor's Death Beam. Both of these combos can be opened up from other combos for more damage, but how much extra damage you do is entirely based on how much stamina your opponent has and how low it is at the time of you breaking their stamina. Now that I once again mentioned stamina breaks, I think it's time to address the elephant in the room. Where does God of Destruction's Anger fit into this build? There are 2 ways to combo into it, but only one of which I use on a regular basis. It can be comboed into from the heavy light, heavy light, heavy light combo, but it can also be used after the last hit from Burst Rush, which is the main way that I use it. More often than not, you'll be using Burst Rush when your opponent is above 2 bars of stamina, since most people will try to regain their stamina when they're low, instead of recklessly charging at you. So it's only ever effective to set up a small combo that you can end with Oran Combo and a charged Ki Blast. But in the off chance that your opponent triggers it with low stamina and you hit them with God of Destruction's Anger, it'll allow you to set up one of the build's power combos. I wonder how many people I pissed off for even considering having God of Destruction's Anger on my build. And again, I already made a build video with Go-Go Gem on my skill set, so I wonder what else I can get away with. You'll find out in my next build video, which for you curious bunch will be on my female human striker. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.